If you're following a carnivore diet or just getting started, you've probably heard about butter bites. But what exactly are they and why are so many people raving about them? In today's video, I'm diving into why butter bites can be a game changer, especially for women over 50 who are exploring or committed to a carnivore lifestyle. These simple, satisfying little fat bombs are more than just a trendy snack. They provide essential support to help your body thrive. Butter bites are an excellent way to boost your fat intake, which is crucial on a carnivore, ketovore, or keto diet, where fat is your main source of fuel. Since the diet is naturally low in carbs, your body shifts into fat burning mode, and these little bites help you stay energized and focused. They are also a powerful tool for hormone support, which is so important for women navigating the hormonal shifts of midlife. The healthy saturated fats in butter provide the building blocks for key hormones, helping to stabilize mood, support energy, and keep everything functioning smoothly, if you know what I mean. Additionally, butter bites are incredibly satiating, meaning they help you feel full longer, and they reduce cravings, especially those pesky ones that tend to hit between meals. They're also helpful for digestion as fats stimulate bile production and assist with the absorption of important fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, all vital for immune health, bone strength, and glowing skin. Some versions even include a pinch of salt to help balance electrolytes, which can be especially helpful during the initial carnivore transition phase when symptoms like fatigue and muscle cramps can show up. And let's not forget how convenient they are. Butter bites are easy to prepare, travel with, and enjoy anytime that you need a quick dose of healthy fat without the need for cooking or refrigeration. So whether you are looking to increase your energy, support your hormones, curb your cravings, or just find a delicious and simple carnivore-friendly snack, butter bites might just be the missing piece to help you feel your best. So come along as I share step by step how I make my butter bites. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, I am getting a few messages asking about how I make butter bites. So it's super simple, but you don't know how it's done until the first time you see it done. So I thought that I would do a quick video for you today on exactly how I make my butter bites. Super simple. I just put a large block of butter right in the bottom of a pan, and you're going to just melt this down. I did leave it out so that it would get softened. If it's straight out of the refrigerator, it's probably going to take a few minutes to start to melt down. But what you'll notice is it's going to go through a stage where it sort of foams up, and that's one of the reasons that I do it in a really deep pan, because it will foam right up, and I will continue to show you how that works. Okay, you can start to see it foaming a bit. We are just going to let it go. I continue to stir it because it does start to get a little bit of that brown goodness that you want down on the bottom. It doesn't have to be a constant stir, but you'll feel a little bit of texture on the bottom when it starts to brown up, and you want that. So some butter that I've used foams more than others. This particular one that I'm using does not foam nearly as much, and it is called West Gold. I also use Kerrygold, and I use another one called Kate's. I think probably everybody's is different depending on where they live. You will notice that I use unsalted. I'm not a fan of the salted for butter bites, so I go with the unsalted. You'll start to notice the color of it changing. The darker brown you start to see, the more of that sediment you're going to get. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you that it's sort of a toffee flavor. That might be a bit of a stretch, but the fact is it does sort of change the flavor a little bit. I'm going to let it just continue to do its thing. I do keep it on high, and you can start to see some of, when I separate the butter, you can start to see some of the sediment that's on the bottom. I like to just use a wooden spoon and kind of lift up some of that sediment. You'll start to notice it getting darker and darker. And I like a really nice dark brown. It does give, I think, a slightly richer flavor. Now, I will also mention that butter, when you are on carnivore, can be too much or too little pretty easily. So I use the Chronometer app. Even though I've coached for years in the keto world, I am a student of carnivore, and monitoring how much fat intake I have has been really important for me, because I can easily not get enough. Okay, you can see how dark it is, and I am going to stop there, take it off and move it, and I just let it cool. I let it cool down just a little bit, and then depending on how many I want to make, I took this large silicone and I cut it into thirds. Some weeks I only have enough to make 2. And then I let them cool in these molds, and then I move them to a Tupperware. So that makes it a lot easier to be able to just grab and go. You can see I have moved it to my countertop, and I'm just letting it cool down. I like to let it cool just a little bit before I put it in the molds. And like I mentioned, I did cut them in thirds. And I'll put a link in. Not all molds are created equal, for sure, so I will put a link into the molds that I like best. I do just get them right on Amazon. And then from there, I put them in the refrigerator, and once they are cooled and hardened, I will move them into this Tupperware container, and then every day that I need some to go to work, I will just put 2 or 3 in this little tiny cute Tupperware container that I throw in with the rest of my lunch in case I need a snack or anything like that. Okay, we have cooled to enough that it is starting to thicken, and I'm just going to go ahead and start to pour into the molds. I like to use a pan that has a little bit of a pour spout, and makes it a whole lot easier to hit the hole properly. And you can make the butter bites as big or as little as you want. I usually just pretty much get right to the very top. Okay, so the West Gold block, even though it by weight says it's the same size as the Kerrygold, it has filled 2 less than the Kerrygold, so no big deal. If I wanted to use a block and a half, I probably could get 2 more, but typically I'm good with just doing 2 molds. The other thing I want to mention is you can see how dark it looks right now. When they are cooled and I'm putting them into the container, I will show them to you again, because it doesn't cool this way. It will look lighter on the top and darker on the bottom because all the sediment settles to the bottom. And you might get a little bit of the foam on top when you're pouring in. If you do, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Now I'll just put them into the refrigerator and let them cool down. Okay, so I left these for the day in the refrigerator. They hardened pretty quickly. Now I did want to mention you can put them in the refrigerator or in the freezer. Some people like the texture a little harder, some people not. So this is the finished result. Now, when I do the butter not quite so dark, then I get just a little rim along the bottom, and that's the sediment settling. When I let it sit a little bit longer, then I get a thicker version. And I, over time, tend to lean towards the heavier sediment. But anyway, I just keep these in the refrigerator and I pop a couple into a little Tupperware each day to take to work with me. And that is how I do my butter bites. Let me know how you have tried it and what works for you if you do it any differently.